Good evening, my name is Trent Wilkes. I am a griot with Malaria No More, and I'm making a short video to tell you about the history of malaria. I'm filming this video from the backyard of my friend's house in Mobile, Alabama, and there's a good chance that by the time this is over, I will have been bitten by at least one mosquito since I'm not wearing any insect repellent. But I'm not very worried about getting malaria because it's just not here anymore. But that has not always been the case, and actually in a few minutes I will explain to you a little bit more about the history of malaria in this area, but first I'm just going to talk about the history of malaria very briefly and the global history of malaria. So malaria has been around really as long as human beings have, and it's believed that it originated in Africa, and as people migrated and changed their way of living from hunter-gatherer to more agrarian farming societies, and you have more people living in one area and larger civilizations and more dense populations coming up. That was when it developed and became more and more I guess deadly, because malaria, if you don't know, it's a blood parasite, and it's transmitted by mosquitoes, specifically Anopheles mosquitoes. And so the more people you have in the area, the more mosquitoes, and just the higher chance of transmission, more hosts for the parasite. And so throughout history, it's been a pretty interesting disease. Now it's found mostly in tropical areas, but that's not always been the case. As people migrated out of Africa and moved around the planet, you had malaria popping up everywhere. It was in the Roman Empire. It was in colonial times in the U.S., the New York City, Philadelphia, they had malaria outbreaks, as well as London. And even as recently as 1922, there was an outbreak in a town in Russia that was only a few hundred miles from the North Pole. So malaria is not specifically a tropical disease. It's a global disease that has been eradicated in many parts of the world and remains in the tropics today. And today in the tropics, it's responsible for roughly 1 million deaths a year, and mostly children under 5 is who it kills, but it's been everywhere. And as a matter of fact, as I said, I'm filming this video from Mobile, Alabama, and just north of Mobile, in the mid-1800s, there was a booming port city known as Blakely, and it was really a rival. Mobile is one of the largest cities in Alabama, and Blakely was a rival to Mobile. And there was a malaria epidemic that basically wiped out the city. Now you can go there and you can visit a ghost town. It's one of the state's few ghost towns, and you can see empty buildings, and you can see graveyards. And on the graveyards, it talks about, and on the tombstones, it says people who died of the fevers, which most people believe now to be malaria back then. But that's a ghost town now, and it's actually a state park. So malaria has been all over the place, and it's kind of followed humans as we've moved around and changed the landscape with our agriculture and different things. But obviously it needs mosquitoes, and it needs people, and mosquitoes need breeding grounds. So anytime you have warm, humid areas with lots of moisture, then that's a good, and lots of water, you have the conditions for malaria. And so that's the case in many places in Africa and Southeast Asia and South America today, where malaria remains. But we have eradicated it in many countries, and we know how to do that. And so we have a moment in history here where within the next 10 to 20 years we have the tools and the knowledge. We just have to go out and do it. We can control malaria and possibly even eradicate it if we take this window of opportunity and make the most of it. So thank you for listening, and that's my brief history of malaria, and hopefully I won't be bitten by any more mosquitoes, but have a good night.